Hello, this is Yax from DungeonMastering.com. Today I thought I'd share with you my story building process or my campaign building process. And in this example, I will assume that I'm starting a new game with my friends and I'm going to try to think of the shell of my campaign structure, how I want the campaign to feel and start and get going. So what I do when I create a campaign, I usually break it down into quests, good old-fashioned quests. And for this example, I'll set up two different quests. Alright, quests number 1 and 2. And then in each quest, I'll try to think of fun, useful encounters that build a story and that sets the mood. So I like to start my campaigns with a combat encounter. We will assume that when the characters were created, there was the backstory and all that, and we start the campaign when the party is ready to start adventuring. I think it's, for me anyway, it's really hard to have all the players create independent characters and then all of a sudden have them come together for a good reason and stick together. For me, it's really hard, so I like to build a background with my players, and then we start once they agree why they're all together and what's their common backstory and all that. So anyhow, I like to start with a combat encounter since all the backstory stuff is in the books, and it sets the tone as fast-paced, exciting, and I want the first encounter to be somewhat easy. I'd like them to get to know their characters and feel good about themselves. Now, second scene, I don't want it to be that easy. Actually, I would like a mini setback now. That keeps setting the tone of an active, fast-paced campaign, but not of an easy one. Mini setback, and I would like to keep my campaign. I'd like to keep a good balance between combat encounters and non-combat encounters. So there you go for scene 2. Later I'll go back and actually fill in the details. But scene 3, I want their first success. I want them to overcome the mini obstacle that they faced, and maybe we can make this a optional combat thing. I would like to let my players know that if they're smart and their characters are smart, they don't have to always get into fights, and they'll still get rewarded. So maybe that's my goal at the end of the first quest. Optional combat. All right, quest number 2. All right, quest number 2. I'll make it a non-combat encounter, and I want the first real glimpse at the big picture. Ideally, for me, I like it when it's not completely built around the players, like the old prophecy thing. You know, you guys are the bomb, go save the world. But I would like them to get a glimpse of, in that first quest, we might have taken on more than we could handle. So they're not really in trouble, but they become aware that there's a lot more going on than they thought. Second encounter, second scene in that quest, I like the whole Lord of the Rings traveling across the world feel. If my players are up for it, we're going to have that kind of a campaign. I always ask my players before a campaign, what kind of game do you feel like playing? I have one player who's really into detective stories, which does not always fit with the whole traveling the world thing. It can. You have to, think about it and discuss it with your players first. I have 2 players who love dungeon crawls. They could just do only that and they'd be fine with it. So you have to know your players. Best way to know is to ask them. Let's say that they've agreed to do a whole world thing. So travel, maybe combat. That's also another place where I can set the tone for the adventure. That it's exciting, but you don't necessarily you don't have to get into a fight. I hate building a world with level 1 creatures when my players are level 1, and then adding tougher creatures as they go up in level. I like them to keep feeling like they're in danger all the time. All right, scene number 3, encounter number 3. Maybe it's time for a mini success, immediately followed by a mini setback. So let's say they were looking for something. They think they've found it, but then they realize that it's not really what they were looking for. But you know, if it's a magic item or some valuable information, they still get something out of it. But I'd like them to think that they're doing really well, and then not give them everything they want or look for right off the bat. So all right, so small success. They thought it was a big success maybe, but they realized that it's not as good as they thought. And fourth and last scene in quest number 2, maybe I'll go mini boss, some kind of elite creature. And that's when I go back to the first quest, and when they hear about, or maybe the first encounter of the second quest, they hear about the mini boss, or actually I could do both. So let's say that in the non-combat encounter, the second scene of the campaign, I want them to hear about the mini boss too. So I'm actually building hype about that creature that they're going to meet, maybe giving them clues about how to defeat it, but not overtly. So I don't have to give all the information about this boss encounter when the encounter starts. I trickle in the information slowly over time. So hopefully I can keep this. Maybe that's going to be 2 sessions, 3 sessions, so the information is somewhat fresh when they get to the boss, so they can actually use it. No point giving them information and then 8 months later in real time throw them against the boss. They won't remember anything. That pretty much wraps up my story building process. I will do some little editing for Obsidian Portal. You might notice the brackets that I put before and after each line. That formats my page for Obsidian Portal. So the end result is I have a page like this, quest number 1, with all the scenes. It's a red hyperlink, and then when I click on it, it gives me a brand new page, and I can fill it out. And I have my wiki with my story building, with all my links, and when they're at encounter number 1, I just click it, and I have all the information for that first encounter. And that's how I try to run my games, depending on how much time I have to plan. That's my preferred way to do it. So I hope this helps someone out there, and keep the D20s rolling.